Hey everyone, welcome. This is Jason Clemens, Doctor of Chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center. And this is Life with Jason Clemens, DC. We are live right here from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios in Lubbock, Texas. We are live on the radio at 98.7 FM, 1420 AM. It's Walk by Faith Radio. It's one of the cool stations in town. Christian conservative radio station, owned and operated by some good folks that really care about Lubbock and are out there swinging their sword every single day, as Coach Leach says. And good stuff over there at the radio station. It's inside Hebrews Coffee Shop in the Buddy Holly Park. If you guys ever want to go over there and hang out at Hebrews, it's a cool place. It's got the lake, and you can get you some coffee, have some time together, have some fellowship together. It's a good place to be. Hey, we're also on social media, on all of our social media, and on the Walk by Faith social media as well. And we're ready to go. We're live. It's Tuesday. We're getting after it. We had a good day today. We had a good workout this morning. You guys want a good workout? Let me share it with you. It's pretty cool. And we got a good show for you tonight. We're going to talk about dementia and gabapentin. We mentioned it once before. I have an article that we went through last year, or it was released last year. But here's another one that came out just July 10th, 2025. So it's hot off the press. Regional Anesthesia and Pain Medicine. Name of the article is Risk of Dementia Following Gabapentin Prescription in Chronic Low Back Pain Patients. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that tonight. So that's what we're doing. But first of all, the workout of the day, what we did today. We ended up, it was an AMRAP. We did 20 minutes, but we ended up with 4 rounds. Hang on. Let me get. If I can get this all cleared up, it was 4 rounds. And we went for 40 seconds on and 20 seconds to transition to the next. So you set the clock for 40 seconds. We go 40 seconds and then we moved. So we did the row bike, either one, whichever one you have. We did ab mat sit-ups. Then we did sumo deadlift high pulls with the kettlebell, where you get your feet super wide and then you do the rows up to your chin. Helps to work the inside of your thighs. And then the last thing was the push press. You can look all this stuff up if you want to, if you're interested. And then we rested for a station. And we did 4 rounds. And that was a good workout. You can hit it pretty hard and get it done in 20 minutes. Get in. We got our warm-up done. We did our 3-minute warm-up. We did our 3 sets of 15 of our squats and push-ups. And we started adding pull-ups to that whole thing, and started to my little warm-up. And then we did our workout. Then we walked around the block, and yeah, that was it. We got some coffee, got ready, ate some good breakfast, ate some bacon and eggs this morning for breakfast with some pistachios and macadamia nuts, and then got to work and got after it and had a great day. Went to Littlefield, saw patients over there, came back, stopped by the house, got some stuff so I can work tonight at my second job, my volunteer dad job, and sand some cabinets. That's what I'm going to go do after this is over. So what do we do on this show? We talk about health. We do it every night from 6 to 7, Monday through Friday from 6 to 7. I'm live right here in the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios. I am a chiropractor. I'm a wellness chiropractor. And, all of a sudden, all the good famous people have always said you need haters, right? And apparently we've gotten some attention in the chiropractic world because all of a sudden on Instagram and YouTube, I'm starting to see all kinds of haters talking trash about chiropractors. Don't pay any attention to those people. It's they don't. First of all, they don't have anything else to do. Second of all, they probably hadn't practiced long enough to really have a good idea. And third of all, there are some horrible chiropractors. There are also some horrible medical doctors and some horrible dentists and some horrible lawyers and some horrible school teachers. There's horrible people in every profession, right? But not all of them are horrible in any profession. There's a lot of good people in all those professions, and there's a lot of good people in chiropractic. So we do chiropractic wellness here at the Rock Health and Wellness Center in Lubbock, Texas. And I am a practicing chiropractor. I'm in my 21st year as a chiropractor. I'm in my 25th year being in chiropractic 25 years ago. I changed careers. I was coaching football at Texas Tech. I changed careers, not intentionally. Coach Dykes retired. Coach Leach didn't keep us. And so my brother-in-law was crazy. And he said, "Hey, why don't you come work for me?" And I said, "No, son, you are the craziest human being that I know. Like, you don't even take a Tylenol when you get a headache." That's what I told him. Like, you tell me one leg is longer than the other. Like, it's some crazy stuff you say to me. And he just looked at me like I was immature and stupid, and I was. And I went to work for him because I couldn't refuse the job, and that was 25 years ago. So that was March of 2000, and it's taken me a long time to learn this stuff. All this stuff is I rejected it, and then I got it brought back to me, and then I rejected it, and then I got it brought back to me, and I rejected it, and then I kind of accepted it, and then I went away from it, and then I came back, and I've done all that stuff. You're not going to tell me something about chiropractic that I haven't experienced in most of all those things right there. I've gotten adjusted where my rib cage went into spasm. I've adjusted people and actually broken ribs before. There's all the experience of what we've done, and that's 3 times, and they're very specific, and that was a long time ago. So don't worry about that. But there's a lot of things in this wellness journey that I've, I've I've experienced a lot of it myself, right? So what I'm bringing to you during this show is that 20 something years, 25 years of experience in this model, in this different model of health, and where our stuff comes from. It's like, look, I grew up on a horse ranch in Roswell, New Mexico. My mom was a school teacher. My dad was a football coach turned horse trainer. Like, I was born in East Texas. He was a football coach, and my mom was a teacher. We lived in 5 different houses by the time I was 4 years old. We traveled around all kinds of different places, and then we moved out to Roswell, New Mexico when I was in right before 5th grade onto a horse ranch. And then I grew up from 5th grade on, working on the horse ranch, cleaning stalls and training horses and doing all that stuff. It was great living. That's where I met my wife, was in 7th grade, and fell in love with her when I was in 10th grade. Pretty much been in love with her every day since. And that's it. But I was just as a normal person living, eating pizzas and drinking Pepsis and Cokes and Dr. Peppers and all that stuff. Didn't know anything about health. Lived a long time in my life, got into chiropractic, started listening to this weird stuff like don't take a Tylenol when you get a headache. Like, how insane is that? Like, that's insane. You don't take a Tylenol or an Advil or anything. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you how I got there if you're interested. It was a while, right? So that's one Tylenol in the last 25 years. That's what I've taken. I took Advil once when I got my teeth worked on, and I've had one Tylenol with a splitting headache about 2008 or 9. Can't remember. Something like that was the last time I took a Tylenol. Just don't do that stuff. And I hear a lot of stories about stuff. Like, I hear people that feel like they need to do that. Like, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight with dementia and gabapentin. Raise your hand if you're taking gabapentin. I don't know how many patients I have got that come in that are new patients that are on gabapentin. I would be willing to bet you if they're over 40 years old, 50 years old, there's a high percentage. If they're over 60 years, I bet it's in the 80 or 90% of people that take gabapentin. They just deal it out like it's candy, right? So now, can I talk about drugs and whether or not you should take drugs or not on my show? No, I can't do that. It's not within my scope of practice in the state of Texas. But I can share with you information from the Regional Anesthesia and Pain Medicine publication, the July 10th, 2025, done by a group of people from um, the University of Medicine, Cleveland, Ohio, Western Reserve University. Let's see where these people are from. Case Western Reserve University and Arizona State University that put this article together. So um, that that we can talk about that, and we can talk about wellness, and we can talk about the things that you might could do in substitute for why you're having to take gabapentin, and that's what we're going to do tonight. So that, in case you're new to the show, because I know we have some new people that are watching the show and you're kind of wondering what we're doing on this thing. That's what we do. We just talk about wellness. It's just wellness things that we talk about. And there's a lot to talk about. Like, this September 1st will be 2 years we've been talking about this every night, 5 nights a week. Like, there's been a lot of shows, 400 and something. We looked them up yet this week, right? There's been a lot of shows that we've been that we've done. And I'm not very good at doing shows. Obviously, I'm sitting here by myself. I am the producer and the director and the whole thing to this show. And it's live too. Like we're on the radio live. You guys that are driving down the highway, going home from work, doing whatever you're doing, well, you guys, you're getting us. You're getting us live. You guys that are watching this on social media, you're getting us live too. Okay. So that we don't edit it. It's not edited. It's every single night. And I just walk in here from adjusting patients. So I think it's pretty cool because I've got my hands on people all day long. And then we come in here and we talk about what we see and what we're doing in the office and why we're doing it in the office so that maybe it makes some sense to you. Right. So thanks for watching, you guys that have been watching this show. Thanks for the new people that are watching the show. Thanks for the listeners on the radio. I hope we're making a difference in your life. And I know that the product works. If I can just not mess it up, the product works. So let's go. So we usually start this and we do some conversations, like the conversations of the day. Had a doctor's report today that lasted for 2 hours almost. Was great. Loved every minute of that doctor's report because we had some explaining to do about what was going on in this person's life. And one of the questions from the doctor's report was, what can I do to help me sleep? Because I just can't shut my brain off and I just can't get myself to sleep, right? And I know that a lot of people deal with sleep. And a lot of people, we had Matthew Walker's stuff last week. Why we sleep is great. Just Google him. If you want to, just search for Matthew Walker, why we sleep. Why we sleep, Matthew Walker. You can do that and you're going to get all kinds of stuff. You're going to get the book. You're going to get summaries of the book. You can go to videos. I don't know. There's just popping up 1, 2, 3, 4, 16. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. There's him talking to Andrew Huberman. There's him talking about just stuff. He's fantastic. He's studied the heck out of sleep and can give you a lot of good information. You could get all that stuff from videos and YouTube and listen to Matthew Walker talk about sleep. He was a very genuine human being. I got to listen to him 2 weekends ago. But so if you want some more information about that, you can go listen to him. But one of the things from a neurology standpoint is don't forget about innate intelligence. Don't forget, I had a doc from Colorado send me a text today, and he said, it's really kind of interesting. And I don't really know exactly how deep I need to think about this a little bit more, but he asked me the question, which goes along with this whole sleep thing. He asked me the question. He said, "Hey, doc, what do you do? Do you treat vagus nerve?" And then, because that's a big thing these days, right? Vagus nerve stimulators. You may have experienced it. You may have heard someone talking about it. Let's see here. What exactly did he say? There it is. His question to me was, good morning, doc. Do you address vagus nerve conditions? If so, how do you evaluate patients and follow up with care? Hope all is well with your family and your practice. Thank you. Do you adjust vagus nerve conditions? And I thought about that for a second before I reported back to him because I thought to myself, I was like, wait just a second. Do I address vagus nerve conditions? Well, wait, what is the vagus nerve? It's it's basically the autonomic nervous system nerve that's connecting the brain all the way down to the lower 1/3 of the intestines. Like you're talking about vagus nerve to the throat and vagus nerve to the heart and to the thyroid and all the way down and then really into the gut, right? So you've got this nerve running down through here that's running all the way that has all these branches off of it. And do I treat vagus nerve conditions? And I just thought about that for a second. And I said, well, my answer to him was I treat's not the right word, but I said, what I do is not directly to the vagus nerve itself. I mainly look at the endpoints. That's what makes kind of sense to me. It's like, I'm going to get a vagus nerve stimulator. And it's like, what is the nerve doing? Is there some sort of is there some sort of issue with the nerve itself? Like what are we trying to accomplish here? Because where is that nerve going? It's going up in here to your brain, right? And then where is it going? And it's receiving and sending information to all kinds of parts of your body down here. So do I treat the nerve itself? Okay. Um, no, I don't. Unless there's something like, is there some sort of adhesion that the nerve is getting connected to? Like, is there some sort of fascia that might be like irritating the nerve and the function of the nerve between the brain and the organ itself? Is the nerve the problem, or is the ends of the nerve, the sending and receiving of the signal through the nerve, or the activation in one place or the other? Is that the problem with the nerve? Because what are we doing? We're treating brain. We're not treating. It's a bad word in the chiropractic wellness world, but we're addressing brain and we're addressing gut. So that's what I said. I mainly look at the endpoints, brain and organs, heart, microbiome, etc. Right? I try to balance. Like, we have a heart rate variability test and we have a heart sound recorder. The heart sound recorder gives us information about the way the heart is functioning that might be a nutritional deficiency. So maybe you don't have the B vitamins, or maybe you don't have some sort of supplement that there are nutrition for the heart, and the heart's not functioning properly. Or maybe there's some sort of interference somewhere between the brain, like the brain's not firing properly. So I said, hey, look, I try to balance right and left brain, work on proper diet, exercise, address the cervical curve. That's the stuff that I would do. Not and that was the conversation I had. So it was the same conversation I had during the doctor's report when we were talking about the inability to sleep. Because if you look at that right hemisphere, and that deals with the unknown, what is unknown? If if you're a parent, and you take your kids to the park to play, and there's some stranger over there sitting on the bench that you've never seen before, and he's a shady looking fella, and he doesn't look like he belongs at the park with kids, and he doesn't have any kids of his own, and he's kind of a shady looking dude, and he's sitting over there on the park. What do you like, or what's going to happen in your brain? Are you just going to, like, you're not even going to pay attention whatsoever to that person? I know that, like, the parents are going to be like, why is that guy sitting over there? Who is that guy? Why is he at the park? Is he with one of these kids? Like, what? Because why? What is the unknown thing that my brain wants to know? That what my brain wants to know is there a threat? That's the unknown thing about the brain. That's what it's trying to say, is there a threat? That's the question that your brain is going to answer before it moves forward, right? So this person has had a problem sleeping because they can't shut their brain off. They just can't. They can't. They can't get their brain to quiet down. Well, what is happening right there? Well, they're ramping up that right hemisphere to the point where now they're just looking for threats. They're dealing with threats. They've been dealing with threats the whole time. So what should we do if we're going to really help that person? What can we do to help dampen the activity in that right hemisphere? Well, there's a bunch of things that we can do to dampen that, right? We can adjust the left side of the body. We can push it up. I think it just has to go up and over myself, and you guys know how I feel about that, but it has to get up and over and get to the left side. It's ramped up, but it's not ramped up enough, right? That's one thing we could do. And then Matthew Walker is going to give you some ideas to cool your body down, to not to eat sugar before you go to sleep because it's thermogenic, and make sure you're getting lots of darkness on your eyes. Make sure you're getting a lot of light on your eyes early in the morning. And what would, in this particular case, what would Tylenol PM do for you? What would Ambien do for you? What would some sort of drug do for you? What, Benadryl, one of those things that you might take. What would that be that you might like? Well, I'm going to take that because it helps me sleep. It's like it. The answer in this particular case is not to introduce a toxin into the body. Don't put the toxin in there and now make the body deal with the toxin and not sleeping. Let's just work on addressing that. Because why would you go to sleep if there was a tiger in your room? If your brain, would you take your kids to the park, look at that guy sitting over on the bench, and then just go back in your car and take a nap while your kids or your 3-year-olds were playing at the park? Absolutely not. You would have your eye on that guy the whole time. I would. I'd be checking that dude out the whole time. Be like, why is it? Not till I figure out why he's at the park. It's like, where does he belong? And he's like, I wouldn't just be watching my kid. I'd be watching every one of those kids on the playground, watching that dude. And I wouldn't be leaving until he left, right? And it wouldn't matter if it was 14 days in a row that he sat there. It's like, look, we're not leaving. Like, we're not leaving until we figure out what's going on with this situation, because that's threatening right there. And if you're in a threatening situation, that's why you can't sleep. So we went to work on that, and we're going to work on that. And I'm super excited about this particular case because I know it's going to be so awesome for all the things that's going on. But that was conversations that we had today. And it took 2 hours. You know how I am. She asked me one question and I was like, well, let me tell you. But yeah, it took about 2 hours to answer that particular question. So anyway, if you've got questions, please send them to me. 806-794-0400. I'd be glad to answer any of your questions. Or you can send me a message on social media of any kind. All right, let's get into it. We got a couple minutes on this side of the break, and then we'll go to the other side. So this article, here is the article right here, and I want to go through this one for a second, and then we're going to go through the one the one we mentioned before, but and then I'm going to give you some. I may give you some background as we're going through this thing, because I'm not sure that you know it. If you've been listening to this show, you might have heard it, but you ever seen this book Blitzed? Right here. This book right here is see if there is the Nazis were all on drugs. So far, so sensationalist, but German writer Norman Ohler, absorbing new nonfiction book Blitzed, makes the convincing argument that the Nazis used the chemical stimulants, played a crucial role in the success and failures of the Third Reich. A fascinating book. Is what this is about. Methamphetamines, like the whole thing. They're the ones that created the whole meth, this stuff. The Germans were the ones that started the drug revolution. Bayer company comes from Germany, right? This whole thing right here is where drugs came from. Now, probably before, I'm not saying that there wasn't medicinal things used all across the globe from the beginning of human time, but these guys perfected it. These guys perfected it, and Berlin was one of the party places on the earth. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, maybe before rock and roll. But this is a great book to explain to you where the pharmaceutical industry kind of came from. And why would I bring that up, right? Well, I'll bring it up. Let me show you why I would bring it up. Because there's also this report right here, just so you don't think that I'm making this stuff up. Just so you like, it's like, nope. This is part of this 25 years of in and out, back and forth, where I've heard it and I'm like, I don't think that's true. Like, are you sure about that? And then I went and researched it, and I looked at the paper, and I did the things. And you can do the research yourself if you want to. The medical education in the United States and Canada. This is the Flexner report of whatever this is right here, 1910. A report to the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching by Abraham Flexner, Just go look it up if you don't believe me. What was this whole thing? Andrew Carnegie was the richest man in the world. He sold U.S. Steel to J.P. Morgan early in the 1900s. He had so much money he didn't know what to do with it. And obviously, even still today, people that have more money than they know what to do with seem to think they need to get into healthcare. All of them are get into it in some form or fashion, right? And so he felt really guilty about what was going on, about having all that money, and he just wanted to try to help people. So he got this Dr. Flexner, and he sent him around the world, and he said, I want you to find me the best organized medicine in the world, and then we're going to bring it back to America, and we're going to teach our medical schools based on that model. And so Dr. Flexner went around the world, and I might blow this up, and we might talk about a little bit of this on the other side of the break. But a trustee of the Carnegie Foundation at their meeting in November 1908 authorized a study and report upon the schools of medicine and the laws in the United States and appropriated the money necessary for this undertaking. Yeah, that's what the Carnegie Foundation did. They put him and just guess where which country in the world he was most impressed with. Germany. Yep. Dr. Flexner was impressed by the Germans and the experimental method and the way that the Germans did things with medicine, and he brought it back to the United States, and Carnegie put it in play, and that's why gabapentin is part of why we live off of it today. Hang around for the rest of this, and we'll get into this on the other side. We'll be right back. I know it sounds crazy. I know you say it and you sound like a conspiracy theorist and all that sort of thing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Maybe I am on some things, but not on this. It's like, how did we get to where we got? Like, I mean, it's my football coaching background. I was talking about this today. I was talking, and I know I've showed you guys this before, but we're at Tennessee. This is Peyton Manning's senior year, and he's in a shotgun right there. And we got a tackle and an end and a nose, whatever. And here's our Mike linebacker. And the Mike linebacker has this guy man to man right there. But what we're going to do is we're going to blitz. And Peyton Manning is right here, and he's in the shotgun. And this is the opening game of the 1997 football season at Tennessee. And we're playing. And we went into the game with the idea of this. If we blitz him, he's got to stay in and block. Otherwise, nobody's blocking the Mike linebacker, and we're going to sack the quarterback. So we don't have to worry about covering that guy because that guy is going to be eaten up by that blitz. So we're going to blitz and then put the pressure on and keep the back in the backfield. But guess what happened? This wide receiver ran off, and this back flared. And what happened? Our Mike linebacker blitzed, but he's 5 yards deep, and Peyton Manning is 5 yards deep over here, and Peyton just backed up. He's 6'5". He just backed up a little bit. This guy was running free right at him, and all he did is he just tossed the ball to that running back over there on the sideline, and we're playing man-to-man, so that corner's running off like that, and this running back is going down the sideline scot-free. And it's like, dadgummit. And so our plan was to do that until that play in 1997. And then after that play, our plan changed. When we blitzed the Mike, we told the end, peel. We told the defensive end to peel. So the defensive end would flare out like this. And all we had to do is just flash his color, and then we'd get to the quarterback. Hang on one second. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Life with Jason Clemens, D.C., and you're going to have to bear with me on the radio because we are breaking down 1997 Texas Tech football on defense. Yes, because it's getting close to football season, and I got to draw some football plays, right? But my point is, we're talking about blitzing and how we developed our thought process over time. It wasn't because we just thought, well, it's a good idea to call the peel call. No, it wasn't because it's a good idea to call the peel call. It's because we got our tails beat by Tennessee because we did stupid stuff like that. That and Peyton Manning just happened to be Peyton Manning, and so it was really hard to beat him. And so, but what I'm saying is, and I've watched Texas Tech do that for 20 years. I watched a touchdown against Texas about 4 or 5 years ago. That was opening drive, flare the back, blitz the linebacker, nobody peels, catches the ball, runs for a touchdown. I'm like, if they just have coffee with the old fired coaches, we we could tell you some of that stuff so the young guys wouldn't have to learn it again, right? Okay. What is my point with saying all that? My point is we didn't get there by accident. We got there by experiment and paying attention and learning what we were doing and trying to do it better and trying to win the game, because you get fired if you don't win games in football. So we're I don't know if I started this kind of stuff. If I had all the napkins that me and my dad sat and drew on from the time I was old enough to draw or read, listen, like we drew these type of stuff over and over, and I don't know, in the thousands probably, from the time I was born to the time 29 years old when I quit coaching football. So I had to take some of this stuff with me into my profession now. So I get into chiropractic and people say stuff, and it's like, where did that come from? How is that real? Is that not real? Who's the developer of that thought? Where did that who's who had to discover the peel call back in the day? And so they talk about this Flexner report, and I'm like, what is this Flexner guy? Who is this Flexner guy, and where does this whole thing come from? Because you're about to tell people that gabapentin is related to dementia. And then it's like, well, it's medicine that my doctor gave me. And I'm like, why'd your doctor give you that medicine? Does anybody know the history of that process? Does anybody know that the Germans are the one that created methamphetamines? Does anybody know that all the Germans were on drugs and all that stuff during the time? Does anybody know the history of this? Yeah, a lot of you guys do, right? Do you know who Flexner was? He was a guy that went around and tried to find the best stuff in the world. The Carnegie said, I'll pay for it. You go anywhere you got to find, but I want you to find the best medicine model that you can possibly find, and I want you to bring it back to the United States, and we're going to put the money from the Carnegie Foundation into the medical schools, and they're going to teach medicine this way because it's the best way in the world. And where did Dr. Flexner go? He went to Germany. And what did he do? He looked and he said, man, this was good stuff. It is the purpose of the foundation to proceed at once with a similar study of medical education in Great Britain, Germany, and France in order that those charged with the reconstruction of medical education in America may profit by the experience of other countries. Yeah, they were trying to do good, and they've done really good. They've done great stuff. But they based it on the idea of allopathic medicine, meaning the opposite of. If you have a fever, they give you an anti-fever medication. If you have stomach acid, they give you an anti-acid medication. If you have pain, they give you an anti-pain medication. It was started in the early 1900s by the richest people in the world, and guess who owned the pharmaceutical companies? The Rockefellers. So go do your history on Mr. Rockefeller himself. He was a cutthroat dude, man. He was a very, very strong, cutthroat kind of guy. He would just eliminate the competition, and that's what he did. And so you had you had the medical doctors, you had the osteopaths, you had the chiropractors, they're all working on stuff. Chiropractic started in 1895. And Andrew Still started osteopathy not long or before or after that. And then we got the medical stuff. And then how come one of them took off and the other ones kind of had to find their way or get stomped out or whatever? It's because of the money. It's the way it works. That's the thing, right? So I just wanted to give you a little bit of history on that so that you don't think I'm just throwing stones or something. I because what is this article going to say now? And if you want this medical education in the United States, you could Google it. It's a Flexner report. This is extracted from the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching, bulletin number 4, 1910. Just Google it and you can find it. Okay. So, what does the article say? Because it might be important to some people. This is the Case Western Reserve University and Arizona State. This study examines whether gabapentin prescriptions are associated with dementia in adults with chronic low back pain. It is a retrospective cohort study of 26,416 adults. The primary outcome was the occurrence of dementia, including vascular dementia, dementia in other diseases, unspecified dementia, and Alzheimer's disease. Subjects were followed for a 10-year period. So just a little history on this. Gabapentin was approved in 1993 to treat seizures and has been used for the treatment of chronic pain for over 20 years. It's a common treatment for chronic pain, and its increased use has prompted further investigation into its adverse effect. Gabapentin is common treated for chronic pain and is increasing the most common side effect for gabapentin includes sedation, dizziness, gait instability, and I don't even know what that word is, but somnolence. I don't know what that word is. Gait instability. Last night we did a show on balance and coordination, balance and gait, right? And we talked about in last night's show. We talked about the aging process gives us a decline in neurology and physical function. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It's not the aging process that gives us the decline because my 86-year-old patient came from the gym this morning and got adjusted. And I told her, I said, I talk about you on the radio about 2 or 3 nights a week. And she said, why? And I said, well, because I read these articles that said that it's the aging process that causes the decline in coordination and gait and stability. And you just came from pump class or whatever at 86. And she's like, well, I would do really good if it's the degeneration of the cartilage in my knees that makes it a little bit harder. She said, I have a harder time getting up off the floor at the gym than I do at home. I'm like, preach, sister, let's stay after it, right? So the most common side effect of gabapentin is gait instability. Well, crap. Like, we don't need gait instability because gait instability, based on last night's show, is neurological and physiological. It's not our brain, but it's like our cerebellum's not functioning, our vestibular system is not functioning. Why? What would be the case? Gabapentin is often used as an alternative to opioids. Yeah, because opioids are just like horrible for us, right? It is becoming more popular to manage chronic pain, especially neuropathic pain. Gabapentin is widely used to treat chronic pain, but is associated with cognitive decline and dementia. Its dissociation remains unclear. Studies have associated gabapentin with cognitive decline and risk of exacerbation for the patient with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, so COPD. I'm just reading the article. It's not my own stuff, okay? So, what are the findings? Let's read them what this says. And to tell you the honest truth, I don't know what this is going to say. I haven't read this particular article. I just know what it's going to say, but we'll listen to it together. Our initial analysis yielded an increased risk of dementia in adults over the age of 18 in the gabapentin cohort compared to with no gabapentin cohort. Now, there's a lot of things that could be going on of causing that. They're saying our initial analysis yielded an increased risk of dementia. Among non-elderly patients aged 16 to 64, gabapentin prescription was not associated with a greater likelihood of dementia compared with those not prescribed gabapentin. When comparing varying frequencies of gabapentin prescriptions in adults, we observed elevated risk for both dementia and MCI in the higher prescription group. Patients with 6 or more gabapentin prescriptions had an increased incident of dementia by 29%. When do you get off your gabapentin? That's a legitimate question. I'm being honest. When do you get off your gabapentin? When does your doctor say, okay, you came in, you've got this problem, we're going to treat it with gabapentin, and then we and then as soon as your pain goes away, you're going to get off your gabapentin. Your neuropathies, right? Your pain and your neuropathies. When was that? When does that happen? Because in my experience, it doesn't. It just you just add to it. Your gabapentin and something. Now it's your gabapentin and your Tylenol 3, or your gabapentin and your next thing. It's like, because why? Because it doesn't have anything to do with why you're having that pain. Now, if you do not have an option whatsoever, if there's nothing you can do about your pain, okay, take whatever it takes to knock the pain down. I tried to get my dad to smoke weed. Like, he was in so much pain, anything on earth he should have been able to take. It didn't matter if he ended up with dementia. He was dying of pain. So if that's the case, then it's like, okay, I'm not an anti-medicine guy if medicine is the only option. But it's not the only option a lot of times. Patient with 6 or more gabapentin prescriptions had an increased incident in mild cognitive impairment by 85%. Your brain is going to work less. 85% of the people's brain is going to work less when they get past that 6 or more gabapentin prescriptions. Non-elderly adults, 18 to 64, prescribed gabapentin had over twice the risk of dementia, 110%, and mild cognitive impairment, 150%, compared to those non-prescribed gabapentin. Now, let's take a step back and ask ourselves, why would a person be prescribed gabapentin? Well, they'd be prescribed gabapentin because they're in pain. And so what is the cause of the pain? Like, not what is the solution to the pain. It's what's the cause of the pain. That's the thing that we don't think about. Like, what are we doing to ourselves that's causing the pain? And is there anything that we can do that would decrease the pain and not be toxic to the body? Is there anything we could do? Is there anything that you could do for your pain that would not cause mild cognitive impairment by taking this prescription? And is that ever a conversation that you have with your doctor who gave you the drug? Like, I don't know those questions because I've been to the doctor about 3 times in the last 25 years. I don't have any prescriptions. I don't take any Tylenol or Advil or any of that stuff. I take fish oil. I take vitamin D. I take N-acetylcysteine. I take Catalin. I take my Cyruta Plus, which is my vitamin C. I take my methylated B vitamin. That like every single night. That's my regimen. But there's not any pharmaceuticals. So I don't know the answer to those questions. So you guys might know them. Non-elderly adults, 18 to 64, prescribed gabapentin had over twice the risk of dementia and mild cognitive impairment. Risk increased further with prescription frequency. The more you take, the worse your body gets. And I want to just say this because that person is probably putting themselves into an environment that's incongruent with health. Look, remember that guy that we had the conversation yesterday, and we said that he's had diabetes for years and he can't lose any weight, so he just decided he would just eat whatever he wanted to, and then all of a sudden his blood sugar shot up. And it's like, yeah. So, look, remember gravity? Remember that one? There's laws that govern physiology. There's laws that govern neurology. There's a way that things work, and there's a way that things don't work. You can blitz that linebacker and not call that peel call, and you can get beat and get fired and ended up being a chiropractor. Yeah, that's that's the harsh reality of football. Or you can eat all the sugar that you want, and you can get pain, and then you can go to your doctor and get gabapentin for the pain that's caused from the abnormal environment that we put our bodies in, and then you can have dementia from the gabapentin. It's like whatever. It's like there's no free rides on this deal. So we got to get ourselves in a position to where we can actually make good choices, right? Now that's why it's like let's make better choices. Like put the biscuit down. That's the first thing. Put the biscuit down. If you're dealing with pain, put the refined carbohydrates down. You do not need the refined carbohydrates. Did you hear the news today that we're going to take away candy and cokes from the the food stamp people? Like they're no longer going to be able to buy candy and coke for the food stamp people. Guess what's going to happen? Pornography is going to go up. Alcohol is going to go up. Fights are going to go up. The, why do I say that? Why do I say that? What are they trying to do? They're trying to solve diabetes by not allowing them to have sugar. Why are they eating sugar? Because their left hemisphere is not working. That's they don't get that. Whoever's in charge of this whole thing doesn't get that. Now, I get it why they're trying to do it, but what you're saying is you're not allowed to have candy and cokes. Okay, that's great. I agree with you. We shouldn't have candy and cokes. But why are they having candy and cokes? Why are they addicted to candy and cokes? Because their left hemispheres aren't working. What are you going to do when you pull candy and cokes away from that person? You're going to cause them to look for another source of external dopamine in the left hemisphere. So you got to come up with something else to do instead of the candy and cokes, especially when they have no idea that that's the case. Watch, we'll see how that. We'll see if it works out that I'm right or wrong on that one. Risk increased further with prescription frequency. Patients with 12 or more prescriptions had a higher incident of dementia by 40% and mild cognitive impairment by 65 than those prescribed gabapentin 3 to 11 times. Conclusion: gabapentin prescriptions in adults with chronic low back pain is associated with increased risk of dementia, cognitive impairment, particularly in non-elderly adults. You see, when I said that earlier about these people that get on the internet and then they talk trash about chiropractors and then they say all this bad thing about them, it's like, okay, well, let's be fair. Let's be fair and talk trash about all the providers that supposedly are causing all this damage, right? Because you've got low back pain. Like, I'm not going to a chiropractor. Are you crazy? And it's like, okay, well, go to your doctor and see what they've got for you and see where they come from. Where did they get their stuff? They got their stuff from the Flexner report, which came from Germany, right? They got their methamphetamines from Germany. They got their drugs from Germany. They got their ideas from Germany. They got that whole thing. Why are you having low back pain? Let's address that. Our findings indicate an association between gabapentin prescription and dementia or cognitive impairment. Increased gabapentin prescription frequency correlated with dementia incidence. I mean, there's um, these are two parts of the brain right here. Microglia activation and astrocytic dysfunction are central to the pathophysiology of dementia, providing a potential mechanism for gabapentin's role in neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. Chronic gabapentin exposure has been linked to reduced neurogenesis and synaptic plasticity in memory-related brain regions. This study has several key strengths, including the large sample group, whatever. What this study adds from the authors: the current study adds evidence as an important association as we discover the gabapentin prescription increases the risk of dementia and cognitive impairment for adult patients with chronic low back pain. Okay, so what is going on with low back pain? Why are we having low back pain? Like you come to see me and you're like, Doc, I got low back pain. Okay. What are the two things that what are we going to do? What are we let's work on it for a second. We've got pain. Where do we perceive pain? In the brain. There neurocognitive issues, right? Neurodegeneration in the brain. That we've got issues in that's where the perception of pain is. It's in the brain. When it comes to the low back, where is the pain going to be generated from? I didn't draw that one very good, but where is the pain going to be generated from if we've got nerves that are exiting and coming down, and then we've got a disc that's sitting in the middle that has nerve supply to it. The disc has nerve supply. So we've got nerve supply, we've got a disc that has a nucleus in the middle. We've got nerves that are running down. If you have pain, you have pressure on your nervous system. No question whatsoever. There's no question. Not pinching. I'm talking about chemical, physical, chemical, or mental emotional pressure. That's what I'm talking about. If you have pain, you have a nerve involved. Otherwise, you don't know if you have pain. You can't feel it, right? Pain has a nerve. What is one problem with the pain around the nerve? Inflammation. I mean, you guys know what I'm fixing to say, right? Like you've heard, if you've been watching this show for long enough, you know exactly. It's like, oh, here he goes again. It just leads itself right back to the same thing again, right? Inflammation. What is inflammation? Inflammation is the first response of the immune system. What? Why are we having an immune system problem in my low back? Like my immune system is involved. Why is my immune system involved? There's some sort of threat. Maybe that's the case. Maybe there's some sort of threat down there, right? We got inflammation going on. Um, sorry, Pam. Oh, that's funny. She said, "I wish you were a little more relaxed. It's making me nervous." I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get so intense. I'll try to calm down just a little bit. We got 3 minutes. I didn't mean to get that intense. I apologize. All right. We got inflammation in the low back. We got immune system threat, or we have an omega 6-3 ratio problem. We have too many sixes and not enough threes. Is there anything you could do about that helps solve your problem in your low back? Could you do something right there that might help the pain in your low back? Yes, you can do things. You can help your immune system function by breaking it down and saying, what are the things that cause the immune system not to function properly? If there's things that cause the immune system not to function properly, maybe we could avoid those things. What's one thing that helps the immune system function better? Exercise. What's another thing that helps the immune system function better? Nutrition. What's another thing that helps the immune system function better? Sleep. What's another thing that helps the immune system function better? Being social. Right? We got all those things. Those are things that we can do to help our your immune system will function better if you will get 7 to 9 hours of sleep tonight. That's one of the things you can do. And how do you get sleep? Right. Cool your body temperature down. Keep the light off of your eyes. Get up in the morning and get bright light on your eyes. Like, don't eat sugar before you go to sleep, or refined carbohydrates, or anything that's going to make your body have to work to break itself down, right? That's one thing we could do. What can we do to get our 6-3 ratio under? Take our fish oil, add some turmeric to this whole thing. That's an anti-inflammatory. There's things we can do. We can get on an anti-inflammatory diet. Those are some simple things that we can do to address the inflammation. Now, we also might have lack of movement. That those segments are not moving properly. So if we've got lack of movement in our low back, or we've got postural issues, we're in flexion. It's like we need to get into extension. And what influences the postural issues? Right? Our brain, our exercise, our muscle mass. Those are things that can start to help. It's like now I actually might have to put some work, and we're out of time, so we're going to have to carry this over to tomorrow. And Pam, I promise tomorrow I will come. I won't be as intense, so maybe it will. You won't get nervous, but there's things we can do if we're willing to work on it just a little bit that can keep us from taking a medication that might cause us to have, according to people that study it, that could increase our levels of dementia. Hey, that's all I got for you. I hope that was okay and is entertaining. I apologize for being intense and making you nervous. And we'll be back tomorrow night. You guys have a great evening.